Hey there, I'm Nicholas Dubois, co-founder of Advanced SimRacing. We are a Canadian company. So what we did here today is for a real petrol head. He's really passionate about cars, as you can see behind me. We did a turnkey solution for him based on his needs. We try to gather as much information as we can on our client. And like we did today, we install a D-box system. We install ultra-wide cube control steering wheel. We try to provide the best quality for your budget. So let's say if you want a budget of 10 grand, we're gonna give you something that's the best for 10 grand. If you want 20 grand, then we always try to stay within your boundaries. We do try to make it as easy as possible. So the client, once we install everything, it's pretty much gonna be a turnkey. So he's gonna press start on his computer, and right after, we'll try to explain everything, how it goes, how it works, and then he's ready to go. Our aluminum is from USA, treated in Canada, cut in Canada. So we do sand all our aluminum piece just to make sure the powder coat sticks to it. And that's one of the reasons why we use powder coat, is to make sure you have the best aluminum finish in the industry. And our quality is beyond what you can get with any other competitors right now. We are really, really passionate about all the gear, all the cockpits, all the sim hardware, and that's why we want to create something that's really gonna reflect our passion into our product. Come visit us at advancedsimracing.com. You can always reach us if you have any questions. You can call us, you can text us, you can go on Facebook, like our page, ask us questions over there, and we'll make sure to answer every questions there is. We are very passionate about what we do, and we try to make it as easier for you to go into the sim racing world, because there's a lot of gear, there's a lot of options, but let us guide you through your process, and let's hope you'll be an Advanced Sim Racing customer.
Open-wheel racing has always been about progression. A ladder stands before all hopefuls, stepping from one single-seater to the next. The power and the downforce often steadily increases, requiring more precision and more bravery. Tonight, we'll witness our drivers on two spectacular rungs of that ladder as we get ready to watch round one of the PRL Formula Series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beer. The PRL Formula 3 Amateur Series starts us off here tonight at Long Beach. A daunting venue for the first round. It'll require inputs that are millimeter accurate. Let's head to our track guide to learn a bit more about it. Welcome to Long Beach. Nestled into the south side of Los Angeles and running alongside the Pacific Ocean, this street circuit has made the port area world famous. Both Formula One and IndyCar have called this 2-mile, 11-turn circuit home. Winning here has become a prestige worth boasting about among open-wheel pilots. Indeed, the winners list includes the likes of Lauda, Andretti, Unser, Montoya, Power, and many other legendary names in racing. Much like its European sister over in Monaco, it's short, tight, and punishing. But unlike Monte Carlo, this circuit emerged from a rundown piece of California coast to grow into the glamorous location it is today. Down into turn 1 at the end of Shoreline Drive is where the majority of overtakes tend to be made. But sneaky passes can also pop up in places like 6 on the way into Pine Avenue, or turn 9 at the end of Seaside Way. There's also 2 distinctive landmarks notorious for causing track blockages. The fountain section, with all its beauty, is a single-file affair save for the first lap. And the hairpin has been a staple here, even though it's changed locations a few times. In fact, that last hairpin not only includes the dangers of getting tangled with another car, but the important nature of getting the best exit you can to keep your rival from having a chance to pass you into the first corner. It feels appropriate that California's signature street track is a hop, skip, and a jump away from the beach. But while others might be trying to attack the surf, our drivers today will be attacking the corners instead. Well, DJ, I'm excited to get to start things off in your neck of the woods. So why don't you talk to us about how the Formula 3s will behave out here?
Well, Joe, the relatively low downforce and high mechanical grip of these Formula 3s is going to make them pretty well suited to the track, but drivers are going to have to be very, very careful. A couple of the danger zones that we always talk about, it is that fountain section coming right after turn one, so incredibly difficult to get right, as well as the infamous hairpin leading onto the curving front straightaway. There will be, I think, some chances to overtake here today. We've always seen a couple of good dives going down into turn one, as well as the right-hander coming off of Seaside Way. But the biggest thing drivers are going to have to be careful of is their own mistakes. They have got to be millimeter perfect. As you said in that intro, these walls will come out and bite you very, very quickly. Just a little bit too much curbing, just a little bit of oversteer, and it will bite.
Well, we'll see if everybody can manage to keep away from those walls tonight. Before we do, we'll talk to you about our broadcast being brought to you by ASR. Owned and operated by passionate sim racers, Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. Visit them at advancedsimracing.com.
It's also sponsored by RaceLab. RaceLab helps you improve your driving skills. With modern overlays, race statistics, and native VR integration, you can get the best out of iRacing. Start using it for free at racelab.app.
Today's broadcast is also proudly sponsored by ButtKicker. ButtKicker products add an incredible immersion and realism to any game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Check them out at thebuttkicker.com.
Today's event is also brought to you by SimMSA. Simulation Motorsports Affinity provides many consulting services, from completely customizing simulators to managing teams, individual drivers, and complete events. They're working hard to bring everyone together at one place to support and promote sim racing internationally. Find out how you can bridge the gap between virtual and real motorsports at SIMMSA.net.
And finally, the PRL Formula Series is also brought to you by NinjaTrader. Ready to compete against the financial markets? Supporting over 60,000 users across the globe, NinjaTrader provides award-winning trading software and brokerage services. NinjaTrader is always free to use for advanced charting, backtesting, and trade simulation. Visit ninjatrader.com to get started with a risk-free trading simulator and start tracking your performance. So let's take a glance at the race itself, because qualifying is already underway, so we'll get to that coverage in just a moment. We are in round one, as we mentioned, 27 laps that they'll have to do around here, and they go by quite quick. It's an open setup series, and they also have some penalties. Now, they'll get a drive-through penalty at 10 incidents, and it's disqualification at 15 incidents. But there's no real grass here to get those off track, so you're going to have to either touch other cars, spin, or hit the wall. So if you get to 10 incidents and you're still rolling, I'll be somewhat impressed. In the meantime, there's the bonus points that were at the bottom of the screen, one of which they are working towards right now with that pole position. Michael West holds the provisional pole, but we got 33 cars or thereabouts trying to take to the track at the same time for 10 minutes, DJ, to get in a flyer.
Yeah, it's only going to be a little bit crowded out here as you see your provisional pulse here, Michael West right there. And I've got to say, Joe, it's going to make things very, very tricky when we get to the race in particular. With such a long field, a lot of these cars are going to be starting out, getting onto the green in the hairpin itself. So that is going to be a big, big danger zone to keep an eye out for.
Absolutely. West coming around for another lap to see if he can improve. And I think his one that was counted actually included him coming past the line in pit lane. So this one will be more representative as Coffre takes the top spot. West cuts it down to a 16.5. Good enough for third. Sebastian in that 28 actually was leading much of the warm-up.
Yeah, he was. He's a relative newcomer here, so he'll be one to keep an eye out for as we continue to go along. But some familiar names making their way to the top of the list as we see Lorente there putting in a 1:16. Sean Duhamel now pipping Coffre to that top time with a 1:15.7.
Stephen Ritter is also going on to row 2 in the number 13 machine as we watch Lorente down into the fountain section and through it. We're going to check on Vargas now. and see what the 22 car has. A 19.5 is the answer, so that's well down the order, unfortunately, for him.
Here comes Andy Spicer. Looks like this is going to be a pretty slow one for Andy as well. Great camera there from Dougie Beard showing you just how tricky that final hairpin is to get back out onto the track. Yeah, it's a very slow time there for Andy. I suspect that's an outlap. Here comes Brian Hotham. Looks like that's going to be another slow one as well, as Christopher Richards is able to put himself to the top of the list, but not to be outdone. There goes Coffray.
Wow, a 15.1, so 0.8 quicker for the 28. And I do believe that these tires do start to come in as more laps go by. So I wonder if we're going to see the times continue to tumble all the way to the finish.
Very well could, and all of those times just absolutely flip-flopping over at each other. Here comes James Holland. Holland able to improve his time and bump himself up into the top 10 provisionally. Here comes Hefferman, the Illinois driver, going to cross the line, able to improve his time by about 0.4 of a second. So that's good for him. Here's David Hebert, another familiar face in the Precision Racing League. Hebert coming to the line now, able to put in a 17.8. It's a good time for Hebert.
Marcheschi didn't improve. Donald Olson coming to the line and comes down to a 16.4. He found quite a bit of time. That'll put him into 11th as we continue to watch Spicer as he's close to finishing yet another lap. His first one didn't count, and a 1:16.4 will be good enough for 11th.
Not a bad lap from Andy. Let's see if Michael West is able to improve on his best time here. Crosses over the line about 0.3 slower, but looks like Coffray and Richards were not able to improve as well, so West will stay on top for now.
Watching to see who else is close to finishing here. Broomhead didn't improve that time. James Holland has a 16.1. And it's going to stay a 16.1 at least for now, as he didn't go quicker. Sean Duhamel with a 14.9, getting himself onto the inside of the second row.
Very good lap for him. Here comes Heffernan right now. He's going to cross over, improve his time by about 0.6 of a second. That'll bump him up. Stephen Ritters, the Canadian there, unable to improve at the moment. Still a lot of times to come in. Here comes Angelo Vilos. Let's see what he's got. Not able to improve as well.
Hebert went a little bit quicker. He's in 23rd after that one. Looks like Joey Tebbin's going to have to cycle back around, as that one was an outlap for him. Kevin Santana back once again. And a 37.1 is way off the pace, so he's also apparently on an outlap with not much time to go. Andy Spicer is up with that lap into 6th place. A big jump for the 46 car.
It was a great lap from him, but I have to say I think it held up Coffray and Richards ever so slightly. They were not able to set a good time. Here comes Michael Broomhead, going to be a slow lap for him. So he's going to have to take another crack at the apple here. Here's Sean Duhamel, currently 4th. The New Englander looking like this could be good. Got a little bit of a toe there. Crosses over, able to improve to a 14.6. That's a great time. It'll put him on top.
Wow. Michael West still has time to try and respond. So does Coffray. As we watch David Blackwood now, still yet to put one on the board. And now Matthew Gunderson sitting in 19th. Looks like he improved, up to 8th with that 15.5. So yeah, the lap times are absolutely tumbling here. And I think if you give up early, you're giving away valuable positions on a track where it's hard to pass.
Indeed, and that's a lot of what we've been seeing out of the 2nd and 3rd place, or 3rd and 4th place drivers. They've been held up. Here comes Santana. That's going to be a little bit more of a representative time with a 1:17.9, so he'll be able to move himself up into 25th. This is Richards and Coffray. The lap's not going to count for Coffray here. He brushed the wall coming onto Seaside Avenue.
West just crossed the line. It's a 14.024. That'll put him back ahead of Duhamel by more than half a second. It was incredibly tight before that lap, with the top 3 split by less than a 10th. And Duhamel doesn't have time, I don't think, to get back out. No, actually he does. If he gets out right now, he could start a new lap just in time. Coffray's still out there, trying to see if he can now find 0.6 of a second to put himself onto the top spot. Horvath still looking for his first time lap.
Horvath really struggling here, riding on board with Sebastian Coffret right now. Now he's going to get the benefit of the draft here going down Seaside Way, but when he gets into the twisty bits, it's really going to cause him to check up. I think he's going to lose some time. That is Christopher Richards right ahead of him.
As he wheels it through the left-hander, through the parking lot, into the hairpin, which ironically becomes a parking lot plenty of times. He's going to cross and try and go that little bit quicker. Is this going to be good enough? No. He gets one last shot at it. Otherwise, Michael West is looking most likely right now to be able to take this.
And I think it's a heads-up move there. He backed off coming through the hairpin, Joe. Coffret did, trying to give himself a little bit more space up to Richards to see if that can maybe allow him to go faster on this final lap.
Only driver we're waiting for a time from is Daniel Barnett. There are three behind that haven't set one: Sweetland, Doherty, and Scarali. So we continue to watch Horvath down in sixth. He finally got one last time, 26 rather. He was a 16.7, but it becomes a 15.4. There we go, up to 11th. That's a little bit more of what I expected from the 382. Blackwood in 29th. Improves up to 28th with that 17.2 as the checkered flag now comes out. Everybody on a hot lap has got to finish this one. It looks like Tyler Gore coming down to try and improve, and he does to a 15.6. That'll give him one position.
Here comes Marcheschi to the line. He is unable to improve. Here's Richards and Coffret. This is the big tell. Richards able to cut it down, and Coffret able to go faster, but neither of them able to pip Michael West to the pole.
Still, Sebastian is on the front row now as we watch Daniel Barnett finally get a time down good enough for 30th position. Santana's going to abandon his lap as he's unhappy with it. Manuel Vargas is the last on the timing sheets. A 16.8 will make him no longer in that position as he jumps to 28th. Robert Ridgway to a 15.8, and he'll go up to 18th with that. Lots of 8s in there.
Just trying to throw us commentators off. Here comes Horvath again, seeing if he can go better, and indeed he can. That'll move him up to 12th place. Here comes Takeshi Kita to cross over the line. This is going to be a good one for Takeshi. That'll move him up the charts into 17th.
Well, glad to see that. Takeshi's usually known for being a little far down the order, and the fewer cars he has to pass, the better we're going to see him do. That is it, though, for our qualifying here today. If you're wondering where the Formula 3.5 cars are, well, they're coming up in a little bit. Remember, this is a double header this evening. The amateur series is first in just a few moments' time, and then we head off to the pros and the Formula Renault 3.5, which is an incredibly fast car. Used to be essentially a Formula 2 style vehicle where many drivers jumped up right into Formula 1 from there, including Kevin Magnussen himself, who just made his IndyCar debut as well this past weekend. Let's go through the starting order. Michael West is on the pole with Sebastian Coffret in second. Christopher Richards, P3, with Sean Duhamel in fourth. Then you've got Michael Broomhead, P5, Dave Peterson and Joey Tebben all the way up to seventh. Great qualifying. Camilo Figueroa will be in eighth. Matthew Gunderson, ninth, and Matthew Miles in 10th.
In 11th, it's Stephen Ritters, followed by Nick Horvath, with James Presley and Andy Spicer in the row behind them. James Holland will line up 15th, followed by Tyler Gore and Takeshi Kita, with Colin Heffernan, Robert Ridgway, and Brian Hotham making up your top 20.
And it's Donald Olson in 21st, followed by Michelle Plord in 22nd. And Angelo Veloz starts P23, Eduardo Lorente 24th. Keaton Marcheschi manages 25th position today. David A. Bear in 26th. Then the inside of the next row has Brett Accord in 27th. Manuel Vargas in at 28th. David Blackwood 29th, and Kevin Santana 30th. Last driver to put a time in was Daniel Barnett. Sweetland, Scarali, and Doherty will start from the back if they decide to grid. I see Scarali out there and Doherty, but not Sweetland quite yet. So not sure if we'll have a full 34 car field here today, but we'll keep an eye on it. We'll real quickly take a look at our onboard Brett Accord, as he's giving us our lone onboard camera here today, joining us once again. But unfortunately, we won't be able to watch long because the time is ticking down, and we've got just a couple cars left before we go racing here today under the warm California sun. Not necessarily warm in air temperatures. It's only 65 Fahrenheit, but 108 on the track surface itself. It won't have any problems getting the tires up to temperature, it seems, today. As the clock now finishes up, the engines start to rev as the lights appear. Green flag is out, and Michael West has a great start compared to Coffret. Behind him, it looks like the top three really getting away from the rest of the field pretty well. Duhamel still in a side-by-side fight for fourth with Broomhead to his inside as they break down into the first corner. 3 wide, a little bit behind him. This is always a pinch point. Are we going to get through the first corner safely?
It looks like the first half of the field was able to do so. Now we come down into the fountain section, looking pretty clean as well. Car going a little bit wide there. Drivers being very aggressive and getting too wide as they come out of the fountain, but we appear to be relatively clean. Looks like we may have a spinner or two in the very back.
Yeah, well, Hebert and Barnett got stuck together as they had a little bit of, well, literally a coming together there in the fountain section. But I think they'll be able to get going once again. Barnett did have to take a tow, but he should be able to get his front wing repaired. Barnett up at the front, down off of Seaside Way, being chased by West. He managed to get in front of him. West ahead of Coffret, rather. I was looking at the Barnett in the pit lane there for a brief moment. Off of the hairpin and to complete lap 1, it is West, Coffret, Richards, Broomhead, Duhamel.
Yeah, but look at that. Coffret starting to eke back a little bit here, getting some good momentum in the draft. As I said, that first corner, it's a little tricky to pass in, but you can get it done. A little bit of a defensive line there from West. Looks like a Pax in the back. That's Duhamel and Broomhead.
Yeah, Duhamel just slipstreamed right past Michael Broomhead and took 4th place away. Oh, a little bit of a spin from Figuera in the 282. He didn't hit the wall. Oh, we had more cars hitting the wall behind them. Donald Olson, and I didn't see who the other one was, unfortunately.
Indeed. There's Olson right there. You can see it. I believe this is the incident in question. Watching Olson here, what happens is, Joe, is he just gets a little too hot on the brakes. I think he may have locked up his rears. You see the dart to the inside here, and then the car just completely goes sideways as he tries to turn it, catches out, bada bing, nowhere.
It's one of those things at road courses where sometimes you can just get caught up in incidents that are in no way your fault. West still leads ahead of Coffret by about 0.8 of a second. Richards still giving chase at a similar distance behind them. But because of the side-by-side battle between Duhamel and Broomhead, they have dropped back. Actually, Broomhead's back in 7th for some reason already.
Not entirely sure what happened to Michael there. I'm going back to look at the replay to see if there was a bit of an off or something for him. But yeah, these front leaders being relatively calm. Oh, Joe, I know exactly what it was. It was coming out of the fountain section. Michael just got a little bit wide. Lucky enough to be able to gather the car back under him, but that's what lost him a couple of places.
Well, that's good news for Joey Tebbin. He's up into the top 5 already. And Duhamel also promoted into 4th. We're looking at 6th place now with Dave Peterson just ahead of Broomhead. Remember, he got overtaken after a mistake, so I'm sure he'd love to get that back. And about a 1.5 seconds behind them, we got a pack of like 4 cars. Ritters, Miles, Gunderson, Horvath, all together.
Yeah, they're really towing each other along here as we continue to ride on board with Broomhead, trying to make up for the previous mistake he made. You can really see just how physical this track is from that perspective. But here is that battle you were talking about, Joe.
Oh, Coffret is off. Coffret spun it out of the hairpin. There you can see him just trying to get the car straight, but he's got so little room. He's going to get it going. I think he managed not to hit anything.
May have just clipped the right inside. And Joe, I have to say, unfortunately, I was kind of thinking this might happen. Look how aggressive of a line here he takes. Yeah, he just bumped that right rear on to the inside barrier there. He was very, very aggressive with the curbs on that first lap, and it really came out to bite him.
40-point turn later, he is back on his way, but down in 15th. Richards now promoted into second place, but a handy gap behind Michael West of about 3.7 seconds. There you see Sebastian still on the track, now behind Takeshi Kita, up to 14th since the start.
Yeah, Kita is always one of the ones that we talk about is not always the best during qualifying, but has absolutely stunning race pace and some really, really great racecraft. So he's always one that is fun to watch. There you can see him on board.
As we look from his dash and then hop back to the TV cameras, he's, gonna go by a spun car, Nick Horvath. He's going to fall to 17th. Looks like the car is still whole, but let's see if we can assess what went down.
Well, this is coming into the Firestone turn. Off of it, just carried a little bit too much speed there, and the rear tire's just not gripping up the way he wanted to. Just a classic case of a little bit of oversteer. And I gotta say, great job by Nick Horvath to keep that car off the wall.
And honestly, a great spin turn. He had very little room, and he got it turned around perfectly. Looking at Miles with Ritters, this is for 7th place. Miles running a livery that I certainly appreciate here, looking very McLaren-like. As Miles riding behind in the dark black and red machine, number 24, behind by about 0.6 of a second.
Yeah, and trying to gain that in as much as he can. Now, that is the turn off of Pine Avenue onto Seaside Way. You can take a lot of that inside curbing if you want, almost cut the corner completely. And I think that's exactly what Ritters was doing there, just trying to gain a couple of seconds of time so he doesn't have to stick in the aero wash as much as possible.
As even though these cars don't quite have the downforce that you might see in Formula One, they still have some good steering put in by those wings. Michael West setting another fastest lap of the race. But we have to remember, we do still have pit stops yet to come today.
We do indeed, Joe, and with these cars in particular, I think the pit stops are going to be very interesting because in a 40-minute race, you get the debate about tires. It's a relatively quick change to make the tires, only adds about a second to your time. And with track temperatures as hot as they are, I have to think that may play into some drivers' calculations.
Yeah, still at 104. It's come down slightly, but I'm in agreement. I think that it might be worth getting them today, even if it takes you a lap or two to get them fully up to temperature. Checking out Horvath, who is fighting for 15th with Brett Accord. Let's watch his onboard camera and see. Whoa, he is not going to fight hardly at all, as Horvath is neatly through.
Yeah, and there's that prime example. You saw Horvath just absolutely clipping down on that apex, taking everything he's got, and that bad run for Accord has allowed for Velos to maybe have a look to his inside, but Accord's going to be able to shut it off, and he'll be able to keep that car in P17 for now.
Look of consternation on the face of Brett there. I would too, with how many cars are stacked up behind him, including a little bit of a go from Figueira on the lows. And he feels like he needs to go defensive coming down the main straight. It's going to be a great tow here for Camilo.
Indeed it is. I've seen him make this move a couple of times, and this is a good way to do it. Try to get down to the inside. He's just got to make sure he gets the brakes under him, doesn't go wide. Whoo, that is toe. Big crash in front.
And that was Takeshi Kita involved in that. I didn't see what caused it, but I saw them stopped on our timing and scoring. Oh, as this battle is not going away. Oh, in fact, it's going to result in a big wreck. Many cars getting involved. In fact, we have a track blockage.
Oh my goodness gracious, drivers talking about this at the start of the race and how to avoid it, calling out over the radio right now. Just a little bit of a tangle there, and that's really what caused it.
It's still going. At this point, they just need to take a tow, I feel like. Finally getting it going.
And a lot of damage to a lot of the cars out here. All right, we're going to go back and check out the replay. Now, it was that battle we were watching with Figueroa. There you can see the accident ahead with Takeshi Kita. Now, we're going to keep our eyes here. This is Horvath in front, and he tangles a little bit with Olsen, I believe. Let's watch this. Yeah, a little bit of an aggressive move that sends them spinning. And on that tight area of the track, Joe, I've got to say that's an overeager move that caused that.
Oh, absolutely. Great avoidance from, I think it was Angelo Veloz. Had a little bit of a touch, but he managed to get through it mostly intact. Up ahead in the battle for, I believe, third place, Sean Duhamel and Joey Tebben. Man, what a run from Joey. In fact, he is going to get a very good run right here and manage to get ahead of Duhamel before they break at the end of Seaside Way. Move him onto the podium from 7th on the grid.
What an absolutely mega run for Joey Tebben. And let us be clear, we're a little bit biased because Joey is a fellow GSRC commentator, so always good to see somebody repping the brand like that.
I have to admit, I'm impressed, especially since he was a little bit farther down the order in the warm-up, but has found some pace in the race itself. Can he hold on to this? Does he still have the strategy and the speed for the remainder of the way?
That's a very good point, Joe. You know, some of these drivers that are hanging back a little bit, they may be trying to conserve their tires, not going for a tire change strategy. They also may be trying to conserve a little bit of fuel if they can. So that is the strategy that could come into play with this. We could see Joey really rocketing ahead just because he is going for broke on both fuel and tires, but we won't know that until the end of the race.
See behind him that Duhamel and Peterson are still fighting for 4th position now that they've been left behind by that green 60. And I think Ritter's involved? No, Broomhead. That's Broomhead behind them in P6. So coming down once again into turn 9. As they're going to switch directions back through the parking lot and into the hairpin. Who can get the exit off of this tight right-hander?
Big concertina there from all drivers, and I think Broomhead had to massively check up. That's effectively going to lose him out of this battle for now, but the same can be true for Dave Peterson, not really able to get the run he'd prefer on Sean Duhamel here.
Not a big shocker here, but we've had a number of drivers had to take to the pit lane for repairs. A few have come out. I see Daniel Barnett has returned, along with Takeshi Kita, Robert Ridgway, Eduardo Lorente, and Kevin Santana, but many others have been sitting in there for quite some time.
Indeed, and one thing for our viewers to know is these drivers do not get a free repair in this series, but because of the nature of the cars that they are open wheel, only takes about 6 or 7 seconds to do a front wing change. So they are able to do that if they just get a little bit of damage to the aerodynamics of these cars. I think that's what a lot of these guys have been doing.
Boy, hot pursuit here with Dave Peterson continuing to try and pressure Duhamel into a mistake. And are they being approached by Coffray here? Or no, this is on board Broomhead. Because I knew Coffray was out of position. He's only made his way up to 11th, so nothing really happening there at the moment. But Michael, behind by about 0.8 of a second on this fight. I think Peterson's going to get a good slipstream, but he's going to run out of straightaway most likely. They hit the binders now. And indeed, he is too far back.
Yeah, you can see him as you saw him go through that hairpin, trying to take some alternate lines there to just see if he can get a better run on Duhamel. You know, Joe, the one thing to keep in mind is even though this is a street circuit, you can have a little bit of variation in setup. Maybe these guys are running just a hair more or less wing. That could be what's allowing for Sean Duhamel to keep that gap up on the straightaway if he's running a little less.
I mentioned Sebastian Coffray a bit ago. He's coming up on James Holland to get back into the top 10. Now, James is an interesting story. Longtime watchers of Thursday nights here on the Precision Racing League may recognize that last name. That's because James is David Holland's dad, who he frequently talks about spotting for him.
Always nice to see a little bit of a family affair going on here in iRacing, but James Holland the Elder, as we shall now know him, under a lot of pressure here from Coffray. At the start of that lap, it was about 0.6 of a second. He's already cut it down to 0.3. Let's see how he does coming through the hairpin there. Good exit, little bit squirrely for James. Let's see if Coffray's got the legs to overtake.
Here's what I want to know. Is David now spotting for James? And is he going to be able to help him keep Sebastian behind? It'll be a tough task with all the speed, he's just going to let him through. So he's not interested in trying to fight that battle, knowing that he started on the front row. Coffret up to 10th.
And that is the sign of a very seasoned driver, when you can recognize that the guy behind you is just too fast and that you are going to cost both of you time. And especially on a street circuit like this, it can potentially cost you an accident, so might as well.
Still haven't had any scheduled stops amongst our drivers. And I think we have somewhere around 26 or 27 still on the circuit out of our 33 starters in this race. Though the 28 started up towards the front, it is Michael West who has been leading since the drop of the green in his appropriately green number 47. So he's got a gap of about 7.4 seconds over Christopher Richards. Richards having inherited this spot after Coffret had his spin. Whoa, what just happened there with the 28? I looked away for a second.
It looked like there was a little bit of a bobble from a car in front of him that made him check up massively. Here comes James Holland, maybe thinking about something. I don't know if he's going to go, but we're going to check out the replay, Joe.
Oh, yeah. This was a spinning Matthew Miles who handed him another position. So we'll see it coming out of the hairpin. So, and look at how much time you gain just from a car making a mistake in front of you. I don't even, is that Miles way up there, that speck in the distance even?
It is indeed. So here comes Coffret coming through here. Business is normal. You can see just how tricky it is to get wound up for the hairpin as you're constantly on that steering wheel. And yeah, there's Miles ahead of him. You see Coffret's checkup. Not really a fault by Miles. He was trying to get off to the right. Didn't anticipate that Coffret was going to try to go that way. James Holland, for the record, did not go for that overtake either. So everybody coming out nice and easy.
Oh, and it looks like Duhamel is pitting. He is our first taker for a planned stop. Now, this is very interesting. This is a bit early, just at the halfway mark.
Indeed, and as opposed to some of the GT series that we cover here for the PRL, if he takes tires, this could be an interesting strategy. Able to hit his marks well. He's not going to take tires, so he is just opting to split the race in half. A 4.8-second stop for Duhamel, and now comes the worst part about Long Beach, this interminably long pit lane where you just have to stay on the limiter and stare at that green cone.
Now he's free, and is he going to come out into clear air? Because that's going to be pertinent if he wants to try and pull an undercut on his rivals. There goes Michel Plord by him, and he's got a little bit of clear air, but he is going to start to catch slower cars quite quickly.
Yeah, he will, so that could certainly catch him out. The undercut may not prove as effective as he wants, but we're going to jump back up to the battle that was with him and now is between Peterson and Broomhead. Broomhead's still struggling to get the power down out of that hairpin, and it's really, really costing him a chance to overtake.
He went so wide off of that hairpin, and Peterson easily pulls away because of it. Kind of surprised that we didn't see Peterson also try to duck into the pits to respond. But looks like neither of them are really playing that game. They're focused on their own race. They're following their own strategy. And let's not forget, it's about 1.4 seconds to Steve Ritter's. So if they start to get into a fight, if they have a little bit of a mistake, Steven will, just like that big bobble that we saw at a Broomhead, and that'll gain him a little bit of time.
Indeed, it will. Ritters will be able to catch up on that, and that's a little bit of that tire wear starting to come into play. We are about 20 minutes down in this race, and that's right about when you start feeling the effect of those superheated tires, or if you're a little too aggressive on them. Now, drivers are able to be a little bit cautious, try to cool the tire temperatures down, get a little bit grip back, but gets exponentially harder the farther and farther you go on them. 15
laps into the stint. Not exactly a hugely long run, even in these cars, which usually do shorter races in the first place. Broomhead, yeah, just continuing to lose touch. It's now up to 1.1 seconds to Dave Peterson. So he's got himself a nice comfort zone behind him to keep from getting overtaken Duhamel, who did pit, is up to 16th or 18th right now. Oh, and I see Tyler Gore in.
All right, so this is really the second of your drivers to come in on a scheduled stop. The number 7, Tyler Gore, is coming in. Ooh, looks like there was a lockup there for Steven Ritters behind. Just an update, Gore not taking tires. So it looks like no tires is the way to go here, at least for some of these mid-pack drivers.
Man, something, either Broomhead is losing pace, the tires may be going away, or he may have clipped the wall somewhere that we didn't see, because Michael doesn't seem to be able to keep up and is starting to be under threat from the 13. Doesn't try and make a go into the exit of Seaside Way. They're going to come onto the front stretch. Let's see if he can do anything here.
Noel Broomhead's going to come into the pits. So there is your answer on that, Joe. Gets down to that pit speed limit, and now he is going to be the latest to come in. Let's see if he takes tires, and our strategy, or our idea is anyway correct, as I think that's Coffre coming in behind him as well.
Yeah, you're right. That's the 28 who is going to get his service. We are starting to get closer to the end of that pit window, but we should still have some more laps to go. Not many. Broomhead. Ooh, this is long. This is very long for Broomhead. Look at that comparison to Duhamel. Something must have gone wrong. He must be having some repairs being done. 13 seconds in his stall. Coffre, similar. Oh no, 12 seconds for him.
That doesn't surprise me. There is Duhamel going by, though, very, very clear of his former rival of Broomhead to the tune of about 4 seconds or so. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Coffre had a little bit of damage. Broomhead's a little bit more surprising, but at the same time, I think that's what can account for that long pit stop, is maybe just a front wing change.
I'll tell you what, Michael West has been absolutely controlling this race. Even though Joey Tebben just set the fastest lap of the race just now, West is ahead by 9 seconds after 18 laps. That's easy math to do. He's a half second faster on average than the next car back.
Really, really impressive run for Michael West here. Just absolutely putting in the laps. And the good news for him is that he's been able to stick clear of a lot of lap traffic, but he does have a big pile up in front of him, including Tyler Scarali and James Presley.
Yeah, he's going to have to start picking them off as we watch our leader get ready to deal with that lap traffic. 10 laps to go now at this stage, and still a number of drivers that are not electing to short pit, even those towards the back that have nothing to lose. We watch from on board Michael, latest lap at a 14.473, very close to his fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, indeed. And let's stay here. Just watch that absolutely perfect precision. You can see the wheel fighting him as he goes over the curbs, but he's not letting those bumps really affect his steering input that much. He's keeping it very calm and consistent. As we do have another pitter, though, as Matthew Gunderson is the latest to come down pit lane.
All right. So that's another one of our top 10 drivers taking service. There you see him on the screen right now. Not seeing anybody else ducking in.
Gunderson did take tires there, so there's Sean Duhamel streaking by. I believe he's going to be able to get by Gunderson. Yep, indeed, no problem. So Duhamel is going to hold on to 13th for now. He is the highest rated driver that has come in and made a scheduled pit stop.
I have a feeling that will eventually change. I don't think his lap times, yeah, I can actually confirm his lap times are certainly not faster than our leaders. So as we get down to 8 laps to go now, still watching to see if we get anybody else willing to go into pit lane, and not many. Most seem to be interested in just taking it as long as possible due to the difficulties with traffic. But West, speaking of traffic, look at this. Maybe now is the time to pit.
I would have to think so. Unless he can maybe get a run on Seaside Way, that is James Presley right ahead of him. You see him having to run a little bit wide there. I'm not sure if that was Presley trying to give him the corner or what. Here comes West, though. Is he going to be able to get a good move? Drives that corner out wide, be able to get the benefit of the draft here, and he'll have the move if he wants it.
Hotham and Accord are both pitting now. They're going to get easily passed by Duhamel. Both of them hitting their marks nice and easily, and neither of them seem to be taking tires here today. So our thoughts on tires being a good call seems to really be at odds with what we're seeing most of the drivers actually do.
Yeah, there's been a few that have taken them, Broomhead and Gunderson, but it's not really paying out the dividends. And frankly, at this point, Joe, as late in the race as these guys are, I've got to think you may just want to go for broke and not get tires. Save yourself the time stationary in the pit lane, as you don't have enough laps to run it. If you feel comfortable enough on this set of boots, you might as well stick with it.
The driver that was battling with Duhamel before the pit sequence was Dave Peterson, and he is down the lane. He has to trundle a long time to get to his stall, which he eventually finds. And it doesn't look like he took tires either. Peterson is out. Where is Duhamel? Duhamel's just coming through the hairpin now. Peterson looking for the cones. Oh, it's so hard to judge because of the distance they have to go. Now he's at the cones. He's accelerating away. Duhamel's already past the start-finish line, but Peterson is well ahead of him.
He is indeed, and that stop for Peterson was very quick, 4.5 seconds, but not as fast as Duhamel, so that was just a matter of executing there and getting some clean air for the Mid-South driver. Wonderful pit strategy for Dave Peterson.
Still not seen any of the other podium drivers pitting quite yet, so now Dave Peterson is your highest pitter, running in the 6th position. We've got 7 minutes left to go, or 6 laps, depending on which way you want to spin it. So we take a look at our leader once again.
You read my mind there, Joe, as I was going to say we jump back to our leader to see maybe if this is the lap that he chooses not to pit, or he chooses to pit.
I'm looking a little bit farther back. Got a bit of a battle for 7th between Veloz and Doherty. James has got himself a good tow. This is coming down into turn 1. Both of these drivers have not pit yet, so while they are in the top 10 right now, they're going to have to hand them back pretty soon. But James, well, at first it looked like he was backing out of it. You know, he sticks with it down through turn 1, given space, and Veloz will retain 7th.
Well, and kids, if you want to know how to modulate a brake pedal, that is exactly it. Doherty being a little bit harder in the first section of braking and lifting off near the end, but now our leader, Michael West, is in pit lane.
But he's not joined by Christopher Richards. He is joined by Joey Tebben. Steve Ritters is going to stay out. So getting a mixed bag with our front runners with 5 laps to go. Richards continuing on, but he's got such a distance to make up. I'm not sure that a leapfrog strategy will get him a spot.
I'm not sure either, and Joe, I can report that both West and Tebben did not take tires, so that strategy looking like it is preferred by our leaders here today.
Miles is in. There's Joey Tebben. Just coming out now. Veloz is in. Whoa, Veloz had a very close moment. Being able to call out your pit entry might be important. If we could get a replay from onboard James Doherty, this nearly became an embarrassing incident between the pair of them coming in for stops.
All right, so this is the lead up to that, as we were talking about. You see him there just stalking behind. Now, remember, Doherty had to back off on the previous lap, not wanting to fully commit too wide through the fountain section. So here he is coming up to the hairpin, able to really close up. Doherty very strong through there, starts to go down. Oh, he thought Velos was going defensive and Velos was going into pit.
Oh, Christopher Richards is now in. Steve Ritters stays out yet another lap. We only have 4 to go. This is impressive. We're waiting on Steve and James Doherty, as well as David Hebert. He's a little farther down the order, though. He's running in 18th. But Steven Ritters has managed to put 24 laps on this tank of fuel.
Indeed.
West ahead of Richards.
Yeah, so that top 3 staying the same. And with regards to Ritters and Doherty, if they're able to save this long, keep an eye out for them when we get to some longer circuits out on the schedule where drafting comes a little bit more key. If they're this good around a tight and twisting point and squirt street circuit, they could be very dangerous when we get to a longer one.
No doubt about that. Here's our temporary leader, the 13, going to come on in. So as he looks for that hairpin, tries to spot that apex and swishes back around. There he goes on into pit lane, and that'll hand the lead finally back to Michael West. Looks like James Doherty still has a couple more corners before he reaches pit entry. 47 on the loud pedal, down and across the line, going to take the 3 to go marker.
A very commanding performance there from West as you see him officially pass Ritters in the pits. Oh, and James Doherty has had a spin coming through the Firestone turn before he made it to pit lane.
Oh, he was doing so well. And the cars that just went by are actually lapped cars, so he didn't lose a position in this. He had such a big gap. That said, he's also, we don't know if he was fighting with someone across the track, still needing to take his pit stop. We'll see where he comes out. Our leaders are still West in front, Richards about 10 seconds behind, Tebben rounding out your podium, but being challenged, Dave Peterson continues to show himself in the mirrors of the 60.
Indeed, he does. Peterson not going away here perhaps as easily as Joey Tebben would have hoped for, but Peterson putting on a very good display, and I'm loving to see it.
Hopping on board with Dave Peterson now. So we had a small blink from Tebben for just a moment. Out of Firestone corner and into the parking lot. Cars having to brake and turn at the same time here before whipping the wheel back, trying to get on the throttle. You can see how tricky it is as Joey spins the rears up.
Yeah, and that's going to leave him very, very vulnerable here to Peterson. I don't think he's quite close enough to affect a pass, but he's certainly going to try for it. Only 2 laps to go here for these drivers. Tebben's got to be very careful and remember that neither of these guys took tires, so these are the tires they started the race on. There's no advantage to either.
Those who are fans of James Doherty, he returned in 16th after a spin. He's still on quite a gain. And remember, he did not qualify, started from 33rd. So being up to 16th is actually not too bad of a showing for him. So we watch Tebben. And then checking in on the 47, 10.8 seconds. This, to me, feels like maybe he's just managing this race from here.
Yeah, he's got an 11-second gap back to Christopher Richards, and especially on a street circuit like this where there is no room for error, I think Michael West is backing off a little bit, just kind of taking things as they come to him and not trying to push it as now he comes to the line to get that white flag.
1 more to go in the opening round of the PRL F3 Amateur Series. And Michael West is showing himself to be the man to beat down into the first corner. That's lap traffic in front of him. That's Michelle Plord. Will he catch him at a good spot because this is among the more technical sections? Doesn't really want to get right up on that gearbox here.
No, he doesn't. His best bet is going to be getting a good run off of Pine Avenue and onto Seaside Way, or there you go, just a nice lift from the lap traffic and letting the leader on by.
Plord running 23rd. Currently second to last of the drivers that are still on track. What a race it's been for Michael West. We wondered with some of these new names, will any of them be able to step up and challenge the more experienced veterans? The answer is the green 47 has grabbed that torch and started running. As he comes out of the hairpin, Michael West is going to claim victory here in Long Beach for the PRL Formula 3 Amateur Series.
An absolutely mega drive from Michael West. He never looked in doubt. There's Christopher Richards coming out of that final corner. Oh, a little bit of a battle behind with Tebben.
Yeah, Tebben being challenged by Peterson, but he's not going to have enough straightaway. Joey Tebben with a podium at the first time of asking. Looks like Duhamel settles for 6th position despite starting in 4th. Miles coming around with a few cars hot on his heels. Gunderson and Coffray. Coffray wants it. He's going to get a good launch. He actually might have it here. He's nearly alongside. Can he get the nose ahead in time? This is going to be tight. And it goes to Coffray. No, Gunderson beat him. Whoa.
Just taking advantage, I think, there, Joe, of that inside line. He was able to massively pull it off. Let's watch this from overhead.
1,000th of a second between them. I thought for sure from that visual, it looked like Sebastian had beaten him. So Gunderson gets 8th place. Sebastian from 2nd to 9th, unfortunately. We have 16 cars on the lead lap. Last of them is James Doherty. He's just finished. So that'll take us to our official results for tonight. Michael West took the victory with Christopher Richards 10 seconds behind him in P2. Joey Tebben from 7th to 3rd. I'm sure he'll be getting some pats on the back next time he hops in the booth. Dave Peterson was P4 with Steve Fritters in 5th and Sean Duhamel in 6th position. Matthew Miles, P7. He's got Matthew Gunderson behind him in 8th, narrowly beating Coffray, who finished 9th, and Holland was 10th.
Tyler Gore came home 11th, followed by Michael Broomhead with that early accident early on. Brian Hotham was 13th, followed by Andy Spicer and Brett Accord, with James Doherty recovering to a 16th, but up 17 from his starting position. Angelo Vilos was 17th, followed by David Hebert in 18th, and Takeshi Kita 19th, with Kevin Santana 2 laps down in 20th.
James Presley behind them in 21st, with Daniel Barnett in 22nd. Then it's Michael Plord, P23. Vargas in the 24th spot. You get to the drivers who had lots of problems here today, with Lorente in 25th and Scarali 26th. After that, it was DNFs from there on down to 34th. We're going to take a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. We'll come back with driver interviews as well as the PRL Formula 3.5 Pro Series here in just a moment. Welcome back to Road America. After we just watched the PRL Formula 3 Amateur Series race at Long Beach, we've got our winner ready to talk to as we get ready to head off to the Pro Series. But before that, Michael, we want to have a quick chat about that one because for us, it looked like you had things pretty much under control the whole way.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, for me, qualifying was definitely going to be the key. I set the car up to have, just a little bit more downforce and a bit more stability. So I was you knew that, if I had to do any overtaking, that might prove pretty tough, obviously being a street circuit. But thankfully, obviously managed to get the lap in that I wanted in qualifying and, then managed to just drive my race and kept it clean, didn't touch the walls and got it done.
Well, that did indeed get it done. Towards the end, were you easing up a little bit because you pulled that gap up to 9 seconds so quickly, and then it didn't seem to get any bigger from there?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously once I got, in reality, once I got it up to like 7 seconds, I really just backed right off. It'd be so easy to just miss your braking spot by a small amount and collect a wall and just damage the car. So, just really manage the gap and make sure I got it home.
Well, it'll be a little bit more open at the next track at Suzuka, but it'll be very technical. Do you like your chances to make it back to back?
You always got to fancy yourself, with a chance. Otherwise, there's no point doing it. But it's a very different challenge at Suzuka. It'll definitely be a slipstreamy kind of track where anything can happen, can't it? So, again, just keep it clean and run your race and hopefully it'll work out.
Well, congratulations on the win. Is there anybody you'd like to thank for this victory?
I guess Mike Broomhead, getting me involved in it. So I was a bit reluctant due to, the time difference. It's 2:30 in the morning here. So, it did take an arm twist to get me to do it, but, grateful for it. It's a nice change.
Absolutely. Well, again, congratulations. It was fantastic to watch, and that was our winner, Michael West, there in the PRL Formula 3 Amateur Series. But we've come to Road America, as we said, for the next race. The magic of sim racing allows us to globetrot just a little bit. So let's take a look at what this track will give to our drivers.
Welcome to Road America. Nicknamed America's National Park of Speed, it's easy to see why just by looking at how the track is laid out. Long straights are a major feature, and drivers will build up incredible momentum before they find themselves interrupted by tight 90-degree corners. In fact, for a 4-mile circuit, it has shockingly few turns. It also has little in the way of variation in layouts. The main course is only broken up once with a single chicane added in the bend version. But don't take this to mean that it's a boring track. Elevation change happens many times over a lap, with a few places taking you into corners which are quite blind. But two of the turns on the back half of the course are perhaps the most distinctive. One is the carousel with its more than 180-degree radius. It just feels like it never stops. The other is the kink. Terrifyingly fast with very little runoff, it can end someone's race in a flash. As you'd expect, the heavy braking zones make for some ideal overtaking spots. Turn 5 sees plenty with its downhill entry. The hurried downs can offer drivers a chance at a sneak attack if you're brave, and then Canada Corner gives you one last shot before the lap is over. It's no wonder major organizations such as IMSA, IndyCar, NASCAR, and the SCCA all host major races here. All in all, many drivers rate this track as the best track in North America. Many who hop in the seat and try it can quickly understand why.
Well, DJ, IndyCar just raced here recently, but Formula Renault 3.5 cars, what's this going to be like?
It's going to be very, very difficult, Joe. The Formula Renault 3.5 is a car that's not used as much on the iRacing service, but it is very high powered. It is a lot of torque coming through those rear tires, and especially in the middle sector of this track, drivers are going to have to be very, very careful not to light up those rear tires. Coming down through the hurry downs and under the Corvette bridge through 6 and 7. They're going to have to be very, very careful. They're going to find some of the trickier parts of the track that we normally talk about a little bit easier. That's through the carousel, through the kink is for sure going to be flat out. But there's going to be good overtaking opportunities in large in part because of how long these straights are and just how much aero wash these cars put out. So look for some awesome overtaking going down into turn 5 and going into Canada corner. Could see a couple of guys get a little aggressive into turn 1, but they're going to have to be careful. That's not really that heavy of a braking zone, so if they want to try to make the move into that, they're going to have to be very confident in their machinery.
Well, this evening's race is going to be very similar to what we just watched, but slightly different. So let's go over the race details. Also round 1 of the season. Only 24 laps here at Road America because of the distance it takes to get around this track. It's, again, open setup, and you start to get this serious and the open wheel ladder. There is a lot of setup things you can do. They have a drive-through at 10, just like the amateur series, and a disqualification at 15, so you got to keep it clean. And there's the bonus points. Pole, fastest laps, or 4 incidents or less, just as our qualifying session kicks off here. So drivers now getting out onto the track, and slightly cooler here up in Wisconsin that the drivers are dealing with the track conditions here at DJ. So they do have a longer track, though, to try to get the tires up to those temps.
Yeah, exactly. And that's really going to help them out. 92 degrees is right at the high end of that sort of Goldilocks window that we like to talk about. It's right, perfect conditions for it. There's going to be some good grip out on track without causing the asphalt to be too slippery. You can see Raymond Day there weaving back and forth down the moraine sweep, warming up those tires, taking that turn 5 just absolutely perfectly. And then this is turn 6. That's the real tricky area I'm going to be watching out for, especially early in the race. Very, very easy with the change in elevation there to get on the throttle a hair too early, and it is a one-way ticket to a car spun the wrong way around.
As we watch on board here, getting ready to start the first flyer. I said that there's some really big names that came out of these cars. Daniel Abt might ring a bell for a few people. Felipe Albuquerque, Mikhail Loshin, who went to IndyCar. Jaime Alguersuari, Formula One fame. Jules Bianchi, rest in peace for him. Karun Chandok raced in the series. Max Chilton, Jerome D'Ambrosio. It just goes on and on. Antonio Felix da Costa, Formula E champion. So this is one that will certainly raise some eyebrows if they've watched the European ladder of open wheelers. Now on to the front stretch for the car of Raymond Day as he starts the timer on that first lap. It takes nearly a minute and 40 some seconds to try and get around here, so he's only going to get so many.
Yeah, Road America is one of the longer circuits on the American road racing calendar, sometimes compared a little bit to the American Spa just because of its distance. But Raymond Day, they're doing a pretty good job to get around there. A little bit wide coming out of turn 3, but I don't think that'll cost him too much. It's also going to get the benefit here if he's able to catch him of Demetrius Nunez up ahead of him, 3 seconds up the road and gaining very quickly. And I think that's because Nunez is having a little off. Whew. Very lucky day to not get collected there.
Yeah, very much so. That is always a little scary. You see those cars off track. And this really gives you a sense of the speed that these machines have, just whipping through turn 7 like it was nothing on the binders down into turn 8. Now let's watch on board here through the carousel as he carries his speed.
Look at that rev counter, Joe. He is not lifting at all. You can see it just rising. A little bit of a correction there mid-corner. Now watch him through the kink again, flat out. Plenty of downforce to be able to take that. Absolutely picture perfect for the 77 here. Now coming down to one of those overtaking opportunities. This is into Canada corner, diving it down. Gets it nice and good there. Plenty of runoff to take. Let's see how he takes Bill Mitchell Bend. Oh, he's taking it flat. I like the aggressiveness here from Raymond Day.
Is it going to be a good lap, though? He'll set the marker, but then those behind him have a chance to respond as the 77 machine crosses the line. Was it clean? It was a 48.3. So as those who pile in behind him start to set theirs, looks like Mark Ponick just a little bit back, about 3/10. Philip Hillard a ways behind him. He'll get bumped down to 4th as Alex Fournier moves into 3rd. Joey Haynes into 6th now.
There goes Byron Daly across the line. That's 6th place for him. I would have thought the draft would have helped out some of these cars that are traveling this long train, but clearly the aero wash not helping them. Let's see what Waring is able to do here. He's got some clean air. 48.5. That'll put him into 2nd.
That's kind of what I expected. Waring, an incredibly fast driver over in the Majors series. We also see him compete from time to time in Flying Husky Racing on Tuesday nights. Aaron Roofs. This is going to be his first time in the number 26 machine. That one doesn't count. He must have had an off track somewhere along the way.
And here's Joe Walker in the number 13. That'll be an easy car to pick out in that bright pink livery. He's making his way down towards Canada Corner right now. Looking out the back of it, there you can see maybe could have taken a little bit more runoff, carry a little bit more speed through the corner. Lines up for Bill Mitchell. Bend looks good through there.
And then he'll be followed by our driver that took the first time, Raymond Day's only been shuffled to 2nd. So Raymond looking quite quick here in these cars. Mid-South driver, let's see what it's going to be here. A 51.3, that'll put him in 13th position, only ahead of Palacio.
And let's see if Raymond's got anything better on this second lap. And indeed he does. He'll improve his time, but not enough to climb up towards Christophe Herbinot. Here comes Hiard coming to the line.
Nunez into 12th. Lard is not going to improve. Looks like he had an off track that deleted that lap. Herbinot up to the top spot. Oh, no, excuse me. He did that a bit ago. I think it was a rebate that I saw that recently managed to get up into 3rd and change that order as we watch Marcel. And it looks like he's going to put in a 49.1. Good enough for 12th position.
And there's Waring across the line. He's able to improve up to the top. Andrew Waring goes. Let's see if Herbinot's got a response. He does.
Wow, 2/10 faster than Andrew Waring, and Waring just pitted. He could come back out and do a couple laps on fresh tires, which it looks like that's what he's going to do as he starts rolling. Aaron Roofs, let's see if this one will count. He's got the 26 up to speed, a 52.1. That will do it. So now only Thibault, Leighton, and Gore still need laps on the board. Sepulveda, as he comes around, that second lap also not counted. So his first one, 49 flat, will keep him in 10th. Here's Joe Walker, seems to quickly becoming a fan favorite.
Yeah, I really do like that scheme. It's quite pretty there. Walker makes his way out of the final corner. Ooh, his Raymond Day's gone off, so that's going to scupper his lap, but let's stick with Joe Walker and see if he's able to improve on that 51. He is with a 50.3.
Up next, it's going to be Nunez in the 902, sitting in 14th position. 49.5 for his first lap. It's a 49.526, improved by half a 1/10 of a second, so it's not going to get him a position.
Hillard able to jump up the order into 6th place with his most recent lap. Let's see if Fournier has anything. He does. That'll move him up the order into 8th place. Paul Wildridge unable to do anything with that lap. Here comes Diego Marcel.
Palacio improved his time, but not his position. Johnston did not go faster. We look at Thibault. Finally gets one down, a 48.8. That's actually a top 10, so pretty handy for Marc-Antoine. Leighton jumping over from Tuesday nights last season in the LMP2s into Formula Renaults, and he'll go to 8th.
And here is Andrew Waring. Now, remember, this is an outlap for the Canadian driver. He came in, got a fresh set of boots, and came back out, as did all of your top 3, Herbinot, Waring, and Day. Not sure if Day's going to be able to make it out. Here comes Aquino, though. Looks like that's an outlap for him.
Trying to see who's going to be up next, and it seems Herbinot will be pretty quick to the line. He's got 0.2 of a second for a buffer, which should be quite good, especially at a track of this nature where there's so many long straights. So as the Benelux driver now comes up to Bill Mitchell Bend, it looks like he's on an out lap. Yeah, as we take a look at his timer. Instead, we jump back to Nunez once more.
And we're following him, and Andrew Waring has actually parked it for the day. Oh, Nunez having a big off there. That'll discount his time. So unless somebody can pip those two, the top two is set as Herbino and Waring. Ponick now coming to the line.
I also see Day behind him. He sits in third. He might have a good shot at this. No, that lap did not count for Raymond. He gets one more chance at it. Fournier goes faster into the top 5, jumping up multiple positions. Nick Johnston, he's got a 48.2 that stays a 48.2.
He's not going to be able to improve on that. Here comes Thibault. He took him a minute to set a lap, but now he's tanking those times down. Thibault jumps up to 5th place. Uribe not able to improve on his time at the moment. We're going to jump back and check out Aquino as Leighton goes to 6th.
Wow, it's pretty late in the evening. It's nearly 7 p.m. virtual standard time here in Wisconsin. I wonder if the sun setting is bringing the track temperatures down and giving us some faster and faster laps.
It is indeed, Joe. Track temps all the way down to 84 degrees, so getting more and more prime. Look for these lap times to keep coming down. Aquino able to shave off about 0.08 of a second. Roofs there not able to improve as the checkered flag flies.
And now back to Christophe Herbino, his last shot at things. Checkered flag is out. The 92 down into Canada corner. Car getting up to 165 miles an hour before he has to get on the binders.
Takes it down and takes the perfect amount of runoff there through Bill Mitchell Bend, as we've seen those other guys doing, not lifting through there. Quick little brush break through that last corner. Let's see if the Benelux driver is able to improve as he takes the perfect amount of runoff there out of the final corner.
Looking like a good time. Speeding up to the line. Again, he's already got the pole, but he wants to make it even safer. It's a 47.4. That is his fastest, 0.6 ahead of Raymond Day, who now follows him up to the finish line. 47.9. That's not going to do it. And in fact, it will put him onto the front row, so Day jumps Waring.
Great run for Raymond Day. Let's see now if Nicholas Johnston has anything to say about it. He comes across the line, not able to improve.
Uribe is going to be next as Thibault abandons his lap right at the final corner. The 23 has the quickest time of a 48.4. He's in 9th, and he's going to stay 9th. I think Aquino is going to be the next through. No, qualifying is now done. Let's go through our starting order here today for round 1 of the PRL Formula 3.5 Pro Series. Christophe Herbino is on the top spot with Raymond Day challenging him from the outside. Andrew Waring will be P3 as Mark Ponick is 4th. You've got Nick Johnston starting in the 5th position. Marc-Antoine Thibault in P6 and Tiensai Leighton handling the open wheelers quite well, I must say. Starting 7th for him. Alex Fournier in P8, Pablo Uribe in 9th, and Philip Lard in 10th.
In 11th, it's going to be Diego Marcel, followed by Vicente Sepulveda. Joey Haynes lines up 13th, followed by Aiden Aquino and Byron Daly to round out your top 20. Demetrius Nunez will be 16th, followed by Julio Palacio in 17th. Paul Wildridge 18th, and rounding out the top 20, it's Joe Walker and Aaron Roofs.
Tyler Gore going to be the last one, but I'm not sure that he is in the session. Looks like he is. He has not gridded up yet. We'll see if we get all 21 taking us to the green flag. Again, standing start now in this Thursday series. So the drivers will have to have practiced that, as the past few seasons, many seasons, it has been a rolling start for our drivers in the open wheelers in the Precision Racing League. Just a few more to go, and then we will be ready with that green flag. This is, I believe, one of the fastest cars we've seen in some time for the open wheelers in the Precision Racing League. So the Formula Series is stepping up its game. Will the drivers be able to do likewise here at Road America? I think it's just Aquino and Gore yet to go. Now Aquino's out there. I do not see Gore, and he's got about 5 seconds, so I'm thinking either he's starting from pit lane or he's not taking part today. There it goes. So the time is up. The engines are going to start to rev. And the green flag is out. Christoph Herbeno gets a much better jump than Raymond Day does. Andrew Waring is already up to his inside. We got a big accident in the back. 2 cars off the track. We'll get back to that in just a second. Waring into the first corner is going to be able to take P2 away from Day, side by side between Koenig and Johnson.
And it looked like Sepulveda had a big off in the back. There you see Ponick, though, getting a little pressure from Johnson. Johnson decides to back off. Oh, and that's Day spinning.
Oh, a horrible start to today's race for the 77. He gets it turned around, but he's at the back of the field. So Herbeno leads, Waring up to second and already threatening the 336.
It's going to get very interesting. Ponick able to make that move behind, and that battle has allowed for Marc-Antoine Thibault to think about having a little bit of a run there. Everybody now able to get through turn 5. Okay, we get into that tricky turn 6 like we talked about. Not going to be a lot of overtaking here for the next couple of corners, but drivers are going to have to try to keep close.
Down the hurry downs, I can report that it was Roofs and Wildridge involved in that incident at the start. They checked up from a slow starting car in front of them and just tangled. Meanwhile, through the carousel and down towards the kink for the first time in anger. Are the tires up to temperature?
They better hope they are. It looks like they are for Herbeno and Waring. That's Tiensai Leighton starting to put some pressure on Marc-Antoine Thibault now, looking to the inside of what will be Canada corner. Waring not going to make the move on the inside for the lead.
A little bit of a side-by-side battle there, I think, between Tiensai Leighton and somebody else. But as we jump back behind them, this is Byron Daly and Aquino.
Riding on board here with Aquino. Now let's see if he's got the guts to make that pass into turn 1. He's got to get this perfectly timed up. Got to say that's a little bit of a bad line there for Daly. Didn't get down to the apex that he would have preferred to.
Still hunting him, and he gets the slipstream. As Daly runs down the pitch straight. Well, it doesn't seem the slipstream is worth as much as I thought it would be, as Aiden just doesn't close. Well, back to the top spot. Will Waring be able to find a little bit more out of that draft, or is he also equally measured up against the 92?
Well, you mentioned it at the top, Joe. There's a lot of setup tweaks that you can make. Looks like Waring's got the speed, though. Here he comes. He's going to be forced around the outside by Herbeno. They're going to be side by side into 5. Herbeno later on the brakes. Waring going for a crossover and not able to make it work.
Interesting that we didn't quite see the same fade we saw in IndyCar here, just easing cars off to the side into the less grippy runoff. So Waring will be able to stay with him, but he's not able to get the pass done.
No, he's not, but Waring definitely trying to keep close. Ooh, and Marc-Antoine Thibault getting passed around the outside by Tiensai Leighton going through turn 8. That is a gutsy place to do it. They're going to be side by side through the carousel.
And Thibault's sticking with it as Leighton unfortunately doesn't have the grip. Pinch to the bottom side. He'll get another bite of the apple. Down through the kink. He manages to once again pull alongside the pink and black number 15 or number 37 as they hit the brakes now down into Canada corner. Who's the bravest of the brave? It looks like it's going to be Leighton, but Thibault tries to hang on and now he gives up into Bill Mitchell Bend.
I love that aggressiveness from Tiensai Leighton. You saw that little jink to the inside, just trying to scare Thibault off the corner. It's exactly the kind of stuff you want to see in these high-powered Formula cars.
Look back there a little bit. I think Aquino is now going to be the one under threat instead because Marcel got a fantastic run on him. As we watch the battle up front. No, let's stay here because look at this. Down into the first corner once again. Thibault and Leighton. Leighton gets to the inside. He's got another bite of it down into turn 3. It's another right-hander. Can he get the job done? Yes, he can.
But now it's going to switch back to Thibault if he wants it. You can see all of that hot air coming off of the back, helping to create that draft. Thibault's got a really good run. Oh, he's going to go for it.
Trying to fight back. Thibault wants this spot. And as he goes to the outside of turn 5, he's off into the curves, but it looks like that's got enough grip. He's ahead of Leighton. Leighton brakes early and hands over 5th.
Yeah, that's a smart play for Leighton. We're on board with Alex Fournier here, who's got a beautiful view of that. If you get offline through that turn 6, it can really throw the car very, very squirrely. Leighton now is going to try to wind this up. I wouldn't be surprised if we see another pass from him trying to go into Canada corner.
He's feisty today. After last season having such a good run in the points in the LMP2s, Leighton is carrying over that momentum in this number 15. Fournier a little bit far back, so we hop off. And now Leighton closing in. He looks quick in a straight line here today, and it's paying dividends. Thibaut doesn't defend initially, but backing out of it late. Leighton unfortunately outbrakes himself a little bit, but manages to keep Fournier behind.
He does. Fournier is now trying to see what he can do with that number 15, but I've got to say the aggressiveness from Leighton, it's got to pay off here at some point. Going to start to come out of the corner. Remember the run. We got to jump to the lead, though, because I think Waring's got to run.
Is he going to poke his nose to the inside? No. Wow. Is Waring saving fuel?
He very well could be, Joe, but I also think he may be just trying to take the best opportunity he can find. It's not the best area to try to make the pass going into turn 1, but he compromises his run out of turn 3. He's not going to be able to get anything done there.
Leighton side by side once again with Thibaut, and around the outside of turn 3, the 37 successfully defends. Here we go again, and Tien Tsai is going to try it around the outside of turn 5 as Fournier gives watch. When is he going to try and get involved in this? He's had plenty of chances, not this time. And also Leighton didn't execute successfully that time on the difficult side. Down through turn 6, and Thibaut is fully ahead once again.
I think if I'm Alex Fournier here, I'm perfectly content to just loiter back a little bit. The way these two were going at it, there is a decent chance that it could end in tears. So Fournier doesn't want to poke his nose in there to an area where it's going to come back to bite him.
These cars have been putting on some incredible racing, and we're not even halfway into this race. Oh, we got to go back to the lead because Waring is closing on Herbino. But he lifts yet again into Canada corner, got within a car length of that black 92.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see what he does when we get onto the main straightaway here and then going again through the moraine sweep and down into turn 5. I don't know why he wouldn't try to make the move into Canada corner, but if he is fuel saving, we will know if he's backing off. He wasn't able to get the run on that last lap because he missed the apex a little bit coming out of turn 3.
Got a mega run. Not fuel saving. This time he likes it. He's sure about this one. And Waring is going to be through as Herbino does not fight it. He lets him have it.
That could be a little bit of strategy games there from Herbino. Oh, as it looks like Tien Tsai Leighton behind was able to get the pass done finally going into the first corner.
Oh, we had an accident with Hillard and the 555. I think he found the wall, unfortunately, and it may have involved Byron Daly a little bit.
Right there. Oh, yeah, I think there may have been a little bit of contact between Hillard and Daly there. Just a little bit of incidental contact. I would definitely call that a racing incident. Both drivers just going for the same piece of track.
We have Wildridge in pit lane. And I'm trying to see if this is due to an accident. Yes, it is. He hit the wall quite some time ago. We don't need a replay, but the 9 found the barriers out of the carousel. So that's why he is having to take an unscheduled stop. You see Hillard still in 15th. Now, where have we gotten most of the action so far this race? Well, Leighton and Thibaut, so let's check on them once again. Tien Tsai actually, well, this is the biggest gap we've seen between himself and Marc-Antoine.
Yeah, he's been able to pull away pretty well here to the tune of about 0.5 of a second. Now, that's not enough to fully break the draft, but it is enough to give him a little bit of breathing room.
Ooh, I think Aquino just made a pass. No, Daly made a pass on Aquino. That was for 8th position, just behind him. Let's take a look at this, see how he got this done.
Looks like a good slipstream. Little bit of a pinch there for Aquino down on Daly, but Daly having none of it. Late breaking into the corner, gets it wound up and fully away. That is a textbook pass into Canada corner, but they're at it again down the main straight.
Yeah, Aquino to the inside. He got a great run off of the final corner. Behind them, also Uribe on Marcel, and he makes that stick. So 2 spots changed in 1 corner. Actually went defensive a little bit there, did Pablo, and that'll keep the likes of Marcel behind him.
And a little bit of a fly in the ointment. That blue car you see up ahead, that is the lap machine of Paul Wildridge. So that could throw something for a loop here for these drivers as they get ready to break down into turn 5.
Wildridge back on track after getting repairs done. Also, Hillard is in getting his repairs done as well. And who was that?
That was Wildridge.
Oh, that might be day done for the number 9. He took a tow. If it is, that might be our only second or third DNF. It's been surprisingly clean out there.
Yeah, it really has, Joe. I'm kind of surprised with just how fearsome these Formula Renault 3.5s are, but we check back in on the lead here. Herbino not letting this gap get too big. He is just stalking Waring.
I'm trying to figure out if Waring's paint scheme is in reference to a specific one, because it feels rather specific, like something out of Formula One, like maybe the late 90s or early 2000s kind of vibes I'm getting out of it. We'll have to ask as he comes out of the final corner. Christoph Herbino has got a pretty good run. Does he want to return the favor?
Well, let's see. He's going to start to poke his nose to the inside. Yep, he's going to go for it. Down into turn 1 is Herbino. There he goes. Waring not putting up too much of a fight.
And he set the fastest lap of the race as he did it. Behind these two, just a quick mention, we don't need to go to it necessarily, but Nick Johnston running a very quiet third, having started from P5.
Yeah, Johnson doing a good job. Whoa, but here comes Waring fighting back, kicking up a little bit of grass as he goes. There he goes down to the inside. Herbino not going to fight him again. A lot of respect between these two drivers.
Gauntlet is down. They are going to fight this one out. There's not much in the way of strategy, it seems. It is just who is fastest, who can be at the front. And the slipstream is giving them plenty of opportunity to try and attack if they want it. Down into the hurry downs as they plunge into the carousel. It is Waring ahead, Herbino second, Johnston third, Ponick in fourth, and Tiensai Leighton in P5 for your top 5 of the race.
Yeah, very good competition here all across the field. These Formula Renaults just putting up a show, and we're only 7 laps down, Joe.
I want to say this might be the first race that we've covered of the Formula Renault 3.5 here on GSRC, and I am very quickly a fan. So as we look back a little farther, this is the battle for 4th position. Ponick just ahead of Leighton, being chased by Thibault and Fournier.
And this is a continuation of that battle.
Our leaders are side by side. Sorry to interrupt. I think they might swap around again. No, Herbino looks like almost like he backed out of it.
May have been a little bit of discretion being the better part of valor. Just didn't think he was going to be fully alongside. I don't think Waring really lifted there as well, so that may have been a little gamesmanship. Ooh, a very wide run there from Herbino.
That tells you how hard these two are pushing. This is not pussyfooting their way around. So the 92 taking it right to the edge. He's got to be careful. More mistakes like that, and Waring could break the slipstream.
Yeah, he's got to be very, very careful of that. A lot of Road America here does operate almost like it is an oval, just in the way that goes. So he's got to make sure he stays within about 1.2 seconds to be able to get the full effectiveness of the draft.
Wow, Ponick got by Leighton when we weren't looking, so he grabs 4th away from the number 15 machine. Also, Daly was overtaken by Uribe in 8th spot.
Whoa, Uribe's off. He just spun the tires coming up out of turn 7.
Yeah, I think he made contact with the wall. We're going to look at the replay.
Ooh,
He's already struggling right there.
Yeah, and then tries to dive it in there and just carries a little bit too much speed and blammo into the wall. Definite damage, looks like on the suspension, potentially definitely on the front wing, if nothing else.
He's very slow right now. He is being left in the dust by those around him. So Uribe probably going to have to come into pit lane and take service as well as repairs. Probably come out more than a lap down, unfortunately, based on how hard that hit was. There you see the 23. It at least still going along at a clip, but not sure that he'll want to keep going. No, he does. Wow, he stays out. Okay. Shows what I know.
It's a gutsy call there from Uribe. I'm not sure I would do it, but we're going to focus back in on the lead here. This is Roaring and Herbino. Herbino dropped a little bit on that last lap, able to claw a little bit of it back, and I'd imagine he'd be able to claw a lot of it back here down this long run.
It gets a little bit as they break for turn 5. Speeding up towards turn 6 under the Corvette bridge. We've got another change of position between Leighton and Ponick, and Ponick is going to be able to rebuff Tiensai.
Yeah, let's see how long, though. We've seen how aggressive Tiensai can be here. Not losing as much time as I would have thought there through turn 7. Heavy braking down into 8. Able to gather it up back under him is Tiensai. Now through the carousel. He's going to have to watch a little bit of dirty air as that's, I believe, who's that in front of him, Joe?
That's Hillard. Hillard. That's a lapped car just going to pull out of the way and have to slow down a lot to let everybody through. Thankfully, everybody passed by the time they get to the kink. Oh, this is a fantastic run as Ponick guards to the inside. And Leighton isn't able to make the move. He could get it over under if he's brave. Not brave enough.
Nobody was thinking about it a little bit there through Bill Mitchell Bend. Now into the last corner. We've seen how aggressive Tiensai can be going into the first corner. Let's see if he's able to get the run and try it again here. Looks like he's got some speed.
Oh, big defensive move as Ponick sees him, reeling him in. Covers off the inside line. Here comes Tiensai. As he approaches the turn, he's not going to have to fight it because Ponick brakes early. And that gives Leighton P4 once again. They're about 3 seconds back from Nick Johnson, our third-place driver. So in spite of a lot of back-and-forth battling, they haven't lost too much time to that number 28.
No, they haven't, and I have to imagine part of that is the flip-flopping they've done on these straightaways, using each other's drafts to really help them out and pull in some better times.
This has been a fun battle to watch for sure. Also, a fun little battle was between the 10 and the 902. This is currently for 11th spot. That's Nunez chasing Aquino.
Yeah, Nunez just trying to stalk on his tracks there. Remember, Aquino having a little bit of an off earlier. Ooh, almost having a little bit of an off one there as he makes his way through the setup there through turn 7. Now down the hill ever a bit into the braking zone of turn 8. He may have a bit of a run here, but Nunez starts to lose a little bit of ground coming through the carousel. I don't think he's going to really have a good line to make a move going into Canada Corner.
Yeah, it looks like he's not liking the turns nearly as much as Aiden does. Must have a bit more downforce cranked into that number 10 machine. Again, still quite a ways to go in this race. We're getting close to the halfway mark, but still haven't hit it. Looking for lap 12, and we're only on lap 10 right now. Lap 11 actually just started for Waring and her, which Christoph actually reeled in, Andrew. It cut it down to about 0.2 of a second briefly. Has now fallen back 0.3 once more.
Yeah, so I think this may be Herbino just playing a little bit of gamesmanship here. It doesn't really look like Waring has an outright speed advantage. They're kind of swapping back and forth on fastest times, and Herbino obviously close enough to be able to get full advantage of that draft.
He'll get the draft, but he's not going to be able to get side by side. The setting sun here in the northern Midwest, just giving us some beautiful views amongst some very cool looking cars as they speed along along a classic track in Wisconsin. Down the Hurry Downs and into turn 8. Urbano maybe stalking a bit now that he has lost the closeness that he had before. He could be just trying to set things up, maybe manage the car, manage the tires, look to his strategy to do something to get by the 336.
Exactly. We've seen in these open wheelers, normally the overcut tends to be a little bit better, but we'll have to see how it plays out in these different Formula Renault 3.5s. Yeah, you see just how much Urbano is able to close up during braking there, cutting that gap down to just about 0.3 of a second as they make their way around the final couple of corners to start lap 12.
Interestingly, this is our closest battle on the track right now. Everybody else kind of spreading out amongst themselves. Now we hit that halfway marker here, lap 12. Waring up in the top spot, having started from third. Urbano put it on the pole, but has been swapping back and forth between himself and the 336 for a good chunk of this race. That's the closest he's been for some time, getting within a car length before they braked for turn 1.
Let's see what his line's like here through turn 3. If he can keep that up. Ooh, a little bit of a mistake there from Warren, catching a little bit of the grass on the outside, but that shouldn't slow him up too much. Gaps under 0.4 of a second. Urbano stalking. I don't think he's going to have the full run here, but he certainly has the speed if he wants to push.
Well, nothing there. And I think Joey Haynes may have just overtaken Uribe. Yeah, he did take that spot. Don't need a replay, but that was for 14th along the front stretch between those two. Impressively, we have only had one DNF. Palacio is it. Wildridge took the car back out on track. He's 2 laps down. So did Hillard in 18th, 2 laps down. Sepulveda is the last one on the lead lap. In fact, he might be lapped before all is said and done, because it's only about 20 more seconds up the road for Waring to catch him.
Yeah, and looking at the times, he's got a second or two in change over him, so certainly a way to do that. Here comes Urbano again, though, not really pressing the issue here. Not pushing too hard. Both drivers taking a lot of that exit curbing there. You can see just how hard both of them are pushing each other.
Down into the final corner one more time. Ooh, Urbano's looking very close this time. Is this going to be enough? It's 0.3 of a second off the corner and closing 0.2 of a second already. No defense yet from Waring. He's going to allow him to get side by side. Urbano has got the nose in, and he's got the nose ahead, and he is through into the lead yet one more time.
Now, interesting there from Waring. In the previous attacks that we've seen from both of these drivers, there was a very clear lift to let him by. Waring didn't put too much of a defense up, but he certainly didn't let him by easy. I think the gloves are starting to come off, and indeed, Waring gets a great run coming through the Moraine sweep. He's going to try to fight back.
Is this tactical maybe? Is he letting him by, knowing he'll get a shot here down into turn 5 with the Moraine sweep giving him a lot of slipstream, and that is Waring back up to the front before Urbano even gets to come back around to lead a lap.
All right, but Waring still very close behind here. Let's see if he's able to keep up momentum through this tricky section of the Hurry Downs. Losing a little bit of time, gap growing out to about 0.4 of a second. He'll have a lot of aero wash. Ooh, that's not going to help him. Big chunk of dirt.
Urbano falls back after that tiny little error. You know, we mentioned Waring earlier being a driver in the Majors series. For those not familiar, that is a series that mimics real-world events. Real-world major racing events as close as they can, full length, and the best in the world come out to compete. Andrew has won multiple of those races in that series. When you can do that, you have got some serious talent. Looks like we got a pit stop, I think a scheduled one, for Aaron Roos in the 26.
Indeed, Roof's the first one to come down pit lane for what we would assume to be a scheduled pit stop. He clearly trying to go for the undercut here and see how that plays out for that 26 machine.
As far as drivers, before we get too far into this pit sequence, drivers who have made a hard charge forward, I see 2 of them 6 places up. Daly's one from 15th to 9th, and Joe Walker from 19th to 13th. Oh, and Raymond Day is pitting. There you see the gains and losses.
Yeah, there is Raymond Day coming down. Following him down is also Diego Marcel. Now, Aaron Roofs did take tires on that last stop. Let's see if these drivers elect to do the same here. Waiting for both of them to come to stop in their stall. This is a very long pit lane here. Day comes in. Day does not look like he's taking tires. Neither does Marcel.
Day is out. Quick stop of 6.5 seconds. 6.1 for Marcel Walker. He's just getting his service. He's a little farther down the grid. 7.3, a little bit slower for the 13. Leighton may have gotten by Ponick, but the battle's not over. He's continuing to pressurize him with Thibault and Fournier, adding to the tension here. Four-way battle for P4.
Yeah, exactly. These guys have been pretty locked together for most of this race. Leighton had a decent gap, but Ponick was able to really claw it back in from him, and they have just all remained in a deadlock.
He's getting very close, coming down to Canada corner, decides not to try and attack there. We're going to stay in line, climb back up the hill through the blind Bill Mitchell bend, and into the final turn. Any of them may be taking it this time by. Highest pitter currently is Raymond Day, sitting in 13th. Ah, there's one. That's Ponick and Fournier.
All right, so this is going to be some really good side-by-side comparison to see what the pit stops will do. As the gap is now going to grow out between Leighton and Thibault. It'll be a little bit of a heartbreak for Thibault. He'll lose a lot of that draft. Keep an eye here, though, on Ponick and Fournier as they make their way down the pit lane.
I think they're going to get jumped by Day since he was well ahead of them. As they look for their pit stalls. There's Raymond now coming out of the final corner. Yeah, I think, he's going to easily get by. He's already got the speed up. Ponick is trying to, oh, no, I take that back. Is he? No, he is actually going to be well behind the two of them.
And very interesting there, Ponick opting to take tires. So another one of our high drivers here taking tires. Let's see if that will pay out. Track temperatures continue to fall a little bit, only 81 degrees, so I'm not sure how much a fresh set of rubber is going to really have a massive effect here. It's not like we're dealing with super, super high track temperatures, but could give him a little bit more grip in the closing stages of this race.
Uribe just pitted, and he is in for quite some time. Yeah, 11 seconds. Not sure why such a long stop. Getting the pitting in from Herbino over the radio. The 92 is, the 336 from Waring saying pitting in, and Herbino is going to follow him.
All right, so it looks like we're reaching the end of our pit cycles here. You can see both leaders coming in to the pit stall. They are separated by about what you saw them out on track.
Yeah, everybody coming in. My goodness, Thibault made up a huge handful of time on Leighton pitting in. So Tien Sai may have given up just a bit too much, being cautious down to those cones.
Yeah, indeed, they're almost side by side as they come down here. Here comes our two leaders, though. Herbino coming to a stop, opting not to take tires.
I think Haynes is the last one that needs to pit. Herbino's back out. Waring, and Herbino ahead of Waring. They were side by side. We saw that in IndyCar. It is narrow trying to get out of there. And let's watch it from above just to get a better view of things.
Yeah, there you can see both of them coming off, and yeah, exactly side by side, almost no room. Waring backing off there and giving that position over to Herbino.
Everybody else looks like they have taken their stops, except Haynes, who has a long one, the 33. He's finally going now. That's going to mark everybody done for what should be enough fuel to get them to the finish. And thankfully for the, I was going to say it's a good battle there between the 92 and 336 to the end. But it looks like Waring, with a small mistake in turn 6, forces him to play catch up.
Yeah, but that is not the only battle we've been following. That battle between Thibault, Leighton, Ponick, and Fournier, well, they have all come out a little bit of jumbled order, but still very, very close to each other on track.
Yeah, one mistake for these cars up at the front, and they're going to drop multiple positions out through the carousel. You mentioned Thibaut now into the 4th spot, having started from 6th. He's being chased by Leighton. Ooh, Leighton looks very good out of the kink.
Indeed he does. Is he going to have a move here on Thibaut? He's going to dive to the inside of Canada corner. No, thinks better of it, doesn't have the full car alongside. He's going to fight another day.
I think he'll get more chances the way that he's been racing today. Have to give a tip of the hat to that 15. The way he has advanced forward since we saw him in early days in the prototypes, the LMP2 cars, on Tuesday nights here in the Precision Racing League, and now fighting in the Pro Series Thursday nights in the open wheelers. Here we go. He's got it to the inside. Does Thibaut try and fight back? I don't think he can at this stage, and no, he does not. Leighton back up to 4th. A bit of a slow exit off of 1.
That's going to cost him. He's got to pray for a good exit here through 3, but Thibaut's going to be close enough. I think this is going to be a big draft train.
Oh, definitely, and Marc-Antoine is looking pretty handy at this stage in that pink and black car. But so does Ponick behind him. Are we going to go 3 wide potentially? No. Ponick is going to get 1, maybe 2. He breaks deep. He breaks too deep. There goes Thibaut right back past him. And now Fournier thinks this is a great chance to finally see some action, but no, he gets denied.
I was very, very worried there on behalf of Mark Ponick. That was an aggressive move. I love to see it, but you could see just how much that car was moving under braking. A little bit scared, I have to say, that he was going to completely lose it, but a great job of the driver of the 34 to gather it up back under him and keep all 4 wheels pointed the right way.
Down to 8 laps to go, soon 7. Now that Herbinot's getting close to the line. Breaking up a bit here for that battle for P4. I think Daly just got overtaken by Aquino. Yep, that was in the carousel. So Aiden up into the 8th spot.
Yeah, there you can see him on your screen as we continue to follow this battle. Herbinot setting the fastest lap of the race, pulling away a little bit here, it has to be said, from Andrew Waring. That gap now ballooning out to about 1.5 seconds.
Down the Moraine sweep, and Herbinot just putting himself out of reach. We're watching from on board. Waring, the Evolve Sim Sport driver, is looking like this might be it, unless he gets a mistake from the 92. The gap is getting bigger. The slipstream we've already seen isn't super powerful here. It's powerful enough when you get close, but this definitely does not qualify as close.
No, I think he is going to have to do this by sheer force of will and through the twisty bits. You see how closely these drivers are matched, Joe, that just that little mistake from Andrew Waring coming through the hurry downs 2 laps ago has cost him this much, and he is unable to keep up with Herbinot.
Something happened to Raymond Day. He is DNF'd. I'm checking, and I think this might have happened quite some time ago. We had missed this one for a man who qualified on the front row. He slipped up coming out of Bill Mitchell Bend, took too much curb, and it sent it right into the wall. Day done.
Yeah, it's a hard start toward the season for Raymond Day, but rest assured he will be back. He's another one of those drivers like Tansai Leighton that we saw do some really impressive stuff in the LMP2s last season, doing a good job there. He will be back, and he will be fighting strong for the rest of this season.
Did Herbinot make a mistake? I thought he was just weaving to break the draft, but he's slow compared to Waring, and Waring's got the draft again. He's right up on top of the gearbox, but he runs out of straight. I'm not sure he's as worried about that. He's got to be giddy that he once again can try and attack the 92.
He is going to be right there. The game is on for Andrew Waring.
Down the Moraine sweep. Is this enough that he can go at it right away, or is he got to try and start setting him up a few corners later? He's going to go right away. Whoa! How did he catch him so quickly? And a late defense forces Waring off the track. That was very strange.
That was indeed. I have to think Waring just didn't Herbino rather just didn't see him coming, and that's what that came from. Herbino's normally a pretty respectful driver, so a little bit out of character to see something like that out of him.
I'm not sure if he lifted. He maybe had some sort of technical issue. He caught him so quickly that was unusual. It doesn't seem normal. Waring still looking left and right, trying to see if he can find an opening and get by. Nothing coming yet. He's going to have 5 laps to do it. You know what? I think there must be some damage on Herbino. He must have clipped the curb wrong, because look at his straight line speed just suffering. Here comes Waring down to the inside, and Waring takes the position.
Oh my goodness. I don't know where Herbino would have picked up that damage, but you are right, Joe. Just absolutely suffering. He looks okay through the corners, able to catch up pretty well there. Let's see, though, how that 92 does in the draft here, if that's able to help him at all.
Roof's going a lap down. He's going to try and stay off to the side. This is actually going to be a little helpful, I think, to Herbino, being able to pull that draft of the red machine. Gets right back up with him, and backs out of it by the time they get to the braking for 1.
All right, so now he's going to focus here on turn 3, gets the apex right, some pretty good exit speed there. Waring looks like he was able to get a little bit more power as the car starts to separate out, gap holding it just under 0.5 of a second. Looking at that top line speed, though, Herbino looks okay. He's able to get a little bit more from Waring, so I'm not sure what the plan was there. Maybe he underfueled the car? Is that a potential for Herbino? He did have a faster stop.
Yeah, but it was similar to what a lot of other drivers around him did. So I looked at that too, and I'm not sure that that's the case, or at least I would be shocked if he was that shy. But whatever the case, seems like Herbino and Waring are back at it again. And the good news for our viewers that want a straight fight, there's no lap traffic anywhere near them. Basically, it is these two to the finish.
Indeed it is, and it has been a titanic duel up to this point, and it only promises to get better going forward. Coming down into Canada corner, Herbino able to carry a bit more speed there at the end of the straightaway. Ooh, a little bit of a run wide there from Waring. Let's see if he's able to fight back.
Yeah, this is going to mean a very good slipstream for Herbino. If he gets a decent exit, that wasn't the greatest, but he should get towed along. Yes, here we go. As they crest over the hill, Waring not going defensive. He's going to leave it open, and Herbino's going to take it because of that. Oh, but he starts to stall out, and as they hit the first corner, he tries to keep it side by side, and Waring remains ahead. That, to me, says it is indeed some sort of aero problem for Christoph.
Yeah, you're right. Just absolutely stalling out when he got into the clean air. I've got to think now for Herbino, he must be thinking not to try to get the biggest draft down into turn 1, maybe try to take a little bit more advantage of it down here into turn 5. Pokes his nose out a little bit, just trying to scare Waring off the line, but Andrew Waring having none of it. The cars are just nose to tail. A little bit of separation, though, coming out of 5 and up to 6.
This all taking place 14 seconds ahead of Leighton, who has since moved into the 3rd spot. Great podium on the cards there for the number 15 here today, but no one to bother these two up at the very front, who have been setting blistering pace all day long through the carousel. Don't think Herbino's close enough to attack here down into Canada corner. Can he maybe get a couple tenths to be able to try and do it into turn 1?
Well, let's see here. Not gaining as much as I think he'd like to make the move into Canada. And remember, he may not want to make the move into turn 1 because it's long necessarily with the heavier braking zone, so he'll have better luck into 5. But let's see what his strategy plays to, Joe.
He's closed in a little bit. It's down to 0.3 of a second coming off the final corner. He's trying to push it as hard as he can. Now, once again, picking up pace, 150 miles an hour as they go over the line, taking 3 to go from the flag man. Last time he tried this, he stalled out, and this time he just makes a half-hearted show of his nose and gets back in line.
All right, now it's going to come down to turn 3. It also may be a situation here where he's trying to game this out a little bit, knowing where he needs to make the pass and where he doesn't. Oh, big runoff wide for Waring.
That's exactly what Christoph needed. He's going to poke his nose out to the right side. Does he have enough momentum compared to the 336 to make it stick? He's going to have to be very late on the binders down into turn 5. Doesn't pinch him in. Gives him plenty of space. The race carries on up the hill into turn 6. Waring still with the inside, but not a nose ahead, at least quite yet. Can Herbino hold on? No, he can't. He dips 2 wheels off into the grass, and Waring retains the lead.
And that's going to cause that gap to balloon back out. And if Herbino does indeed have some aero damage, he is not going to be able to close in nearly as quickly as he will need to do. The gap now holding at about 8.5 tenths of a second.
Was that the moment that decided this race between these two? Waring was 7 tenths of a second over Herbino. He'll get 2 to go at the line. He has to push now.
Yeah, he has to push for all he's worth. Able to claw back a little bit, gap at about 7 tenths. Let's see how he handles Canada corner. If he's able to gain up a little bit through there. Clean run for Waring, clean run for Herbino. Gap falling by a couple of hundredths.
And not only are these 2 spots for the podium unpredictable at this stage, but Tebow and Leighton are getting close together for 3rd.
Indeed, they are. Marc-Antoine Tebow able to pull it in within 5 tenths of a second, but our leaders here crossing the line with 2 laps to go because Herbino have enough. He is closing. He's got some good speed in that draft.
He's got it back in. I thought that was day done for Christoph. All right, will he get another shot at it? Will he get another mistake from Waring? I didn't think so. Andrew nice and tidy this time. Christoph pulling the toe on one of the longest straights of the track down into one of the heaviest braking zones. Oh, look at that, just making sure to cover off the inside briefly there. Andrew Waring doesn't want Christoph to get any sort of advantage.
No, he does not, but this may play into Christoph's hands. If he's able to get a good run through 1, 2, and 3 on the next lap, that could set him up perfectly to be able to get the run down into 5 and not have as many opportunities for Waring to try to come back at him.
Oh, so tight here at the end of the very first race of the Precision Racing League Formula Renault 3.5 Pro Series. Out of the carousel, he's closer than ever. He could have a fantastic run down into Canada corner. What's it going to be between them? Defending to the inside. Waring makes sure that he's going to have to go the long way around, but he could undercut him. He brakes earlier. Is he going to go for the over-under? He tries for it. He gets a little bit of momentum, but just not enough.
No, and there you can see Herbino weaving back and forth, trying to find that optimal line. He's still going to have a couple of shots at the apple here. Coming out of the final corner, they head their way up the hill for 1 lap to go.
Shot at the apple. Will he be William Tell today as Waring gets the white flag? Herbino is closing. He could have a really good shot down into turn 1. Does he send it brave under the brakes? He's going to look. No.
Decides better of it, but he is so close behind here going into turn 1. Little bit of a kick up the dirt there for Andrew Waring. And here comes Herbino. He's got to get this corner absolutely right. He is right up behind the gearbox. Little bit of a slide there for both drivers. Gap is about 2.5 tenths of a second.
Oh, and Tebow just overtook Leighton into the first corner. So that's going to move the 37 into 3rd place. A tidy peak from Herbino down into turn 5. Not close enough there either. He's running out of opportunities. Does he have anything left in the speed of his Formula 3.5 to try and overtake Waring and regain where he started this race?
He's pushing really hard. You saw how much he took there coming through turn 8. Now coming into the carousel, we saw the good run he had there last time. He's really only got one good braking area to try to make this work, and that's going into Canada corner.
He's a little far back. I'm not so sure this is going to be enough. He starts to pull a toe. Who gets a better run out of the kink? It looks like Herbino starts to pull him in. He could send an incredible dive down the inside if he wants it, but it looks like he's just too far back, 2 car lengths behind. That could have sealed it as long as Waring stays clean here, unless there's enough of a slipstream for Herbino to get by along the straight, and he might actually do it. Look at how close he's getting here. Waring needs the exit of his life. Oh my goodness, Herbino has the run. He's gonna reel him in. This is gonna be tight to the line, but I think he's gonna run out of room as they come down to it. Half a car length in the first race in the Pro Series goes to Waring by 7/100ths.
Oh my goodness gracious, Joe. There is the battle for third between Thibault and Leighton. Leighton not able to get it done. Thibault is going to take that final step on the podium.
Unbelievable stuff from our leaders. We've got a battle between Aquino and Daly. I think Aiden just took this spot away. Oh, and a mistake from Daly off the last corner will cost him. He should be able to get it going before Marcel comes up.
Hard run there for Daly, but Marcel not out of the water here. This is going to be Nunez trying to close in behind him as well, but I think Nunez is going to have the same problems our leaders did, not able to do it. That's going to be Marcel in 10th and Nunez in 11th.
Joe in the 13 walks it home, last on the lead lap, but we've got a chance to take a look at that finish. Christoph Herbino's got to be kicking himself as he was feet away from being able to take the victory here in the first ever PRL Formula Renault 3.5 Pro Series.
I mean, just look at this, Joe. Absolutely picture perfect there from him. You saw that little bit of overcorrection he had to do coming out of the corner, but just stuck it in the draft. And you can imagine him just pushing himself forward, willing himself forward, but just too little, too late, and the victory going to Andrew Waring.
That's going to give us a chance to have a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around. Welcome back to Road America. This was an incredible way to kick off this series. The Formula Renault 3.5 Pro Series saw Andrew Waring win from third by only 78 thousandths of a second at the line. Herbino was beside him as they crossed. Christoph started from pole and wound up in second, but I'd say he's earned some cheers after he fought so hard to try and keep it on the top spot. Marc-Antoine Thibault rounds out your podium. A big pat on the back to him, and you have to feel for Tiensai Leighton. He still gets a fourth, which is a net gain for him from seventh, but so close to finishing on the podium. Mark Ponnick was in fifth as Alex Fournier in P6, and you got Nick Johnson, who fell back from a brief third place into seventh. Aiden Aquino in P8, Byron Daly in ninth, up from 15th. Then finally, it's Diego Marcel rounding out your top 10.
Demetrius Nunez came home in 11th, followed by Pablo Venezuela Uribe in 12th. And Joe Walker and Joey Haynes round out your drivers on the lead lap. Aaron Roofs was 1 lap down in 15th, followed by Vicente Sepulveda in 16th. Paul Wildridge 2 laps down, with Huard, Day, and Palacio unable to finish the race.
That brings us to our winner today, Andrew Waring. And Andrew, I was sweating just calling that race. You must be drenched.
I actually feel really good. That was so much fun.
Well, it was a blast for us. This is our first race, we're pretty certain, to call with these Formula Renault 3.5s. Do you have much experience in these cars?
2 days. I just got the approval to sign up for this series yesterday, and we downloaded a set off of a certain garage that provides fantastic setups, clearly, and yeah, it was amazing. I had so much fun. First PRL race as well.
Well, what a splash to make. It was also our first coverage of the series, first race ever for this car here in PRL. And I hope they stick around if they keep giving us races like this. Are you looking to continue to race for the whole season? Because they got another fresh one coming up with the Red Bull Ring.
Yep, I'm going to do the whole series. I signed up. I paid the membership. I'm going to stick it through. I've had a blast tonight.
Oh, this is going to be fun for sure. Well, is there anybody you'd like to thank for today's victory?
I just got to thank Evolve SimSports, obviously. The Majors Garage setup. They provided a extremely slippery car in a straight line, apparently. And you guys, I'm sure you did a great job broadcasting. I cannot wait to watch it back. And all the guys at PRL and Britannia as well. They are down in the F3 division, but they pushed me to start this series. So good, big thanks to all those guys down there.
That was our winner, Andrew Waring, here today. And after all that excitement, I guess everybody else was too worn out, because only Andrew's come to talk to us. That means it's time to close up for the evening by thanking our sponsors, starting with ASR. They design and build the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. Visit them at advancedsimracing.com. And RaceLab. It helps you to improve your driving skills. Start using it for free at RaceLab.app. As well as ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing at thebuttkicker.com. And SIMMSA. Find out how you can bridge the gap between virtual and real motorsports at SIMMSA.net. And finally, NinjaTrader. Visit ninjatrader.com and get it started with a risk-free trading simulator to start tracking your performance. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. And a big thank you to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. Her Bandcamp is listed with a new song released last night. Thanks to the team today, DJ, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Also, check out our social media, the outlets listed at the bottom of the screen. If you'd like to support the channel, check out our merchandise store at simracingmerch.com/GSRC. We keep a link in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, because as we mentioned, next week, the PRL Formula Series is back with both the Ammon Pros at Suzuka and Red Bull Ring, respectively, Thursday, July 1st at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. We have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. Until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.